on right now. We have some technical issues. Uh, I'm having people I'm trying to bring on right now says I'm not authorized to do that. Says they're on hold, whatever that means. So I'm trying to figure that out. Um, but we do have a witness tonight. She's going to talk about her uh, personal encounters. Should be a very, very good show tonight. She has a lot of great things that she wants to add to the show tonight. Um, I think y'all are going to love what she has. I spoke to her the other night for 2 hours, and I was just blown away by the information that she was able to share. Um, to me, it was amazing. Um, I think y'all are going to really be surprised on this one. I'm working on one little thing we're having an issue with. Hey, Cal, I'm rebooting your side right now to see if that'll do it. Trying to get Cal's side rebooted. But yeah, this lady, man, she told me a little bit of her story the other day, and oh my God, this thing has made her life hell. From the time she was 11 years old until now, she has just been through like there is things that happened to her. I'm just going to be quite frank. If it would have happened to me, I would have been totally. I don't know. I would have been run. Hey, Sugar Britches, good to see you. I would have already been running, man. Uh, I feel sorry for her because I know it's really bothered her. You can tell that it's affected her. Um, I guess it would affect anybody if you went through what she went through with this thing. I mean, I've heard of a lot of encounters, but this encounter that she's actually been through is like a up close encounter where she was actually touched by this creature. So, it's scary enough seeing one standing out in the woods, but whenever you have one that actually comes and touches you, I think that brings it to a whole new area because I know I sure wouldn't want to be carried one. Um, I think probably what happened to her mostly, she may even have PTSD from it. I'm not sure. Uh, I'm waiting on her to show up. I'm working on getting Cal in right now. I've never had this thing ever told me that somebody was on hold, whatever that's supposed to mean. They did, I think, do a small update. That was Kaylee slamming the door there. But I am going to hopefully be able to get this figured out. I am not a tech person. I used to be fairly good with computers back when they took floppy disks. Whenever they moved up to CDs and stuff, it got a little more advanced for me. Uh, let's see. I don't know what is going on. I'll figure this out, Cal. Promise. I'm working on it. I'm old and slow and senile, and I can't hardly see shit today. I've got digital eye strain, guys, and everything looks double to me. I don't know why. Oh, I got it figured out. I got it. All right. There it is. There it is.
Hello, everybody.
There you are. I figured it out. It had some kind of a damn lock on it. I don't know what was going on, but I found it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they did an update today. I'm not sure what they done. They updated. StreamYard is having some kind of a competition with Safari over YouTube right now, and I think StreamYard done their upgrade today to try to be able to fix some of their problems they were having with YouTube. So hopefully that will help. They said they were having lagging problems, and
Yeah.
StreamYard says that they fixed it. So hopefully everything will be better now.
My wife watches this one channel all the time, and it was lagging so bad the other day that she couldn't even watch it.
Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm trying to get Crazy Kirk in here too. I had a nickname for him tonight, and I can't remember. Oh, I got his name now. We're gonna start calling Kirk Bad Grandpa. I think that I knew you'd like that. But we'll let him get better set up before we bring him in. Oh, Bad Grandpa! No telling what we'll see if we put him on the air too fast.
Yeah, probably something we don't want to see.
That's for sure. There he is. I think he's getting set up. I know he went to Walmart and bought him a tripod. I think or something like that.
Yeah, see, we was talking about that the other day, and I went to buy a let me see, a tripod for my phone, like he's going to do, and I end up buying freaking $2,000 MacBook.
I know that's what I always do. I go to town to buy something. I know buying more than one.
Yeah, bad thing is the tripod. I bought the tripod by the way too. It was only $4. I got it in the electronics. It was on clearance for $4.
That's what I always. I'm all about hitting the sales.
I thought I was doing good, but I spent $4 after I spent the 2,000 on the MacBook.
Good evening.
Evening.
Kirk, we got a new name for you.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
We're calling you Bad Grandpa.
I heard that. I have no problem with it, brother. Hey, if that's the worst I've been called, that's fine.
Everybody's calling you Bad. Oh, that's nice.
It's the $4 tripod I bought after I bought the computer. I should have took the computer back and just kept the damn tripod.
That'll work good in the field though. If you're wanting to go live, in the field.
It won't now. It won't now because I broke it, I believe.
Oh no.
No, there it is. Okay, it comes out. All right, yeah.
That would work good in the field for set it on the hood of
Yeah,
the car or whatever.
yeah. Just set it there. It'd be better if there's a magnet on the bottom, but it's just plastic. It tilts, so your stuff don't land in the mud.
Yes. Well, we're waiting on Teresa to show up. She hasn't entered yet. I thought she'd probably be in by now. I'm telling everybody, you guys already know a little bit about what she's going to talk about. Tell me this ain't going to be a story.
It's going to be a story. What we heard the other night from her was a story. Man. And we was just getting started. Well, you was there, wouldn't you, Kurt? Kurt?
I don't think he can hear us.
How you doing, Cal?
I'm doing good, Kurt. You was with us.
I'll tell you, this is going to be a humdoozy tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a good one.
I'm surprised, honestly, that she's able to even talk about it.
She's traumatized now. That's for sure.
Are you hearing us okay, Kurt?
Yeah, there's a delay, but it is what it is.
Trouble. Yeah, I could tell you was having a little trouble. Don't worry about it, man. If we walk on you or whatever, just let me know and we'll fix it. Like I said, StreamYard and Safari right now are battling each other for YouTube, and
don't worry about it.
Oh, StreamYard's been, huh?
Yeah,
and so StreamYard's
the main thing is that we get this witness on and we hear what they have to say.
That's for sure. Oh, I got to give a shout out to everybody out there. Red Dirt CRYPTID tonight. Been on our show many times. I'm not going to say that I'm happy for him because I'm actually a little bit jealous. But he is at the LBL tonight and he is at the alleged spot where everybody was killed. So make sure to check him out, his channel and everything. He's been rubbing it in all day, but I wanted to give Red Dirt a shout out. Guy does great work. He's there by himself, guys. He's by himself.
He does. He does good work. I like his shows, but he's there by himself. Might not be too smart of an idea.
There might be a second spot after tonight. Not really.
Yeah, really.
Depends where he's at in LBL. There very well could be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There very well could be, because that's no place to be alone at night.
I wouldn't go there alone.
Hell, I wouldn't go there alone in the daytime, let alone night.
Right.
I've been to the LBL so many times it's not funny, and it's always creepy. And the later the day goes, the creepier it gets.
Cynthia with the first donation tonight, guys, on the super chat. Thank you, Cynthia.
All right. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm gonna step away real quick and let you and
very nice. Thank you, Cynthia.
I'm going to give our witness a call and see if she's having trouble or something. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Kurt, I'll let you take over.
Well, guys, I think this is going to be a great show tonight. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am too. Cause Teresa, she was telling the whole.
I'll tell you, there's not that often that you can get somebody to come forward that has had an encounter that has lasted this long.
Oh no, it's you know, it's still after. She tells us, and we're sitting there.
And Calvin, you've been doing this long enough. You know that most of the time that people start having encounters, it only lasts a short time.
Yeah. This time, as long as this is lasted, it won't quit until it gets her. It won't. So, you know.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
It won't quit until it does. Because it's too aggressive still. It throws rocks and everything at them. So, y'all will get a feel for it when we get her on and get her on air. I mean, she is traumatically just devastated over it. And she has every right to be. I mean, she does. She has every right to be terrified of this thing. It grabbed her by the hair and was dragging her down the road. Okay? Yeah. And a cop was coming by and seen what was going on, and the cop jumped out.
You know, Cal, you think about it. Anytime you get touched by one of these, it
blueprints on you. It does. And you get touched. You're touched for life. That's the way I see it. And it's not, you know, when this lady, she's sweet, and everything. She doesn't deserve to be done this way, especially by something with the intention that it has towards her. So as soon as Mike gets her on, she'll start telling you the encounter. And well, Mike talked to her once before I got a chance to talk to her, and she kept Mike on the phone for 2 hours, and Mike didn't ask a question. So if that tells you anything, Kurt, it's.
Cal, correct me if I'm wrong. This lady has basically been having encounters for 45 plus years.
Yes. Yeah, and it's like an everyday occurrence. So if she,
that I don't envy her.
no, I don't either. And this thing is brazen enough that she was at one time she was living in an apartment building, and it stood on the sidewalk and would throw rocks at her window, like it just didn't care if anybody seen it or not. Now you tell me how brazen that is.
Wow.
I mean, it's just
Unfortunately, I've run into a couple of those that had no problem showing themselves in the broad daylight. They were, and those were dangerous.
oh yeah,
Definitely dangerous.
yeah. I mean, it's just I mean, it's bad. I mean, the ones that don't care to be seen are the ones that don't care to kill and eat humans. They won't have a second thought about it.
Yeah.
I talked to our guest. She was having a little bit of difficulties. I resent her the link. Her link was broken, but she's going to be on just here momentarily, guys. I'm working with her to get her on and everything. She's trying really hard.
Okay, April, it's a squatch that's followed this lady home. It's a very unique looking squatch too. I'll let her explain what it looks like when she gets on here.
I think people are going to be surprised. Like JD said, chased out of the woods in the daylight. I had that happen to
Yeah,
me. Remember down at the
yeah,
river the other day when I went? I was
yeah.
afraid down there.
Um,
So it looks like she's trying to join, but I don't see a picture. Let me see if
JD, I can believe that.
I've
oh
got
yeah,
you. I've got you unplugged because my cord won't be. It's not very long, but I see
okay.
you guys.
Yep, we have you on air now. We
yeah.
can't see you. You have a black screen, but you said you may want to remain anonymous. So
It doesn't really matter. I'm fine either way. But I do want to get my uh, life experience out there. So maybe if
right.
someone is still alive, wondering, they can maybe even contact you down the road. And and maybe they're seeing this. Who knows?
Okay, let me check real quick and make sure everybody's hearing you okay. Is everybody hearing our guest okay in the chat, people? I want to make sure that you can hear her before we start, so we don't have to
Yeah,
interrupt her or anything.
give us a thumbs up if you can hear.
I had to turn it around. It's not going sideways for me for some reason.
I think you got a little louder that time too. That's better.
That's good.
Yes.
Okay, everybody says they can hear you. I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know that this witness has had some accounts, guys, that are beyond any that really I've ever heard of. She's going to tell her story. We may at certain times interrupt her just a little bit, maybe for a question or something. But mostly, I try not to interrupt my guests too much until they're done with their story and kind of have a questions at the end. I just feel like that it's more. It's I don't know. I think that it's just a sign of respect to let somebody be able to finish the story without interruptions because I don't want to confuse her or get her, wondering where she's at in the story and stuff. So, everybody, please be respectful to our guest and everybody, welcome Teresa to the show.
Hi, my name's Teresa. I'm 65 years old now. I feel very thankful to be alive. Uh, anyway, I have been through this throughout my whole life. The thing has, one way or another, every place I've moved, come after me or come out for me, whatever you want to say. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you a heads up on how it started. I was 11 years old. My dad built a nice, beautiful new home out 25 miles out of Indianapolis, out in the country. It was a little small town called Pleasant View, Indiana. And it just had one little gas station and one little country store at the time. Um, we had friends, of course, through school. I went to Shelby County Elementary School, and then I was getting ready to go into the middle school. But in the meantime, I one night we heard a bunch of coyotes. I need to let you know that there was horses behind us. We were on about an acre, half acre lot, I think it was, and each one of the houses that were newly built in 1968. This was Labor Day weekend, as a matter of fact, when this all, well, part of it started. But anyway, it was actually spring when it really started. But the coyotes, we could hear them. And in the meantime, mom and dad had me down, go to the walkout basement area where there was a bedroom and a bathroom. And that way, my brother and sister can have the two bedrooms upstairs. Then mom and dad had the other bedroom. Uh, I was scared down there. There was always something, it just felt ominous. And another, being before I moved downstairs and they talked me into it, uh, I heard, and I played piano. I practiced piano for 7 years. Um, I heard my piano downstairs in the walkout basement. Somebody like went up and hit a note. Well, I knew everybody was in the upstairs. My brother and sister were younger than me. They were all tucked in bed. My mom and dad, believe me, when they walked down the steps, you knew it. My dad was 6'3", 6'4". He was not heavy or anything, but he was just a big man. He had a big chest. My mom was little, but boy, she was mighty with those heels or whatever shoes she was wearing, going down the steps. But anyway, I heard that piano and that scared me. And I thought it was ghost something. Um, so there in turn, I was very leery of the basement after that. Uh, but in the meantime, we heard some coyotes, and I asked Dad. I said, "Dad, what is that? A bunch of dogs." Luckily the horses behind us were not acting up, so I mean, I knew they were okay. And the gentleman two houses down owned them, and it was like a V. His property went behind us like a V. And the closer you got to the little town, the store or the main road that went around the store is where the V kind of came to, together. Um, Dad explained to me that they were coyotes, and he explained to me what they were. And I said, "Oh, I said, do we have to be scared of them?" I mean, I was 11. I didn't know much. I was still learning. But anyway, he explained, and so then I went back to bed. I one night, mom would always open our windows about halfway, well, sometimes all the way, and I'd beg her to put it halfway down. And she'd say, "Why? It's hot in here," because we didn't have AC back then. You just, you deal with what you did. If you had a fan, you were lucky. And for some reason, I didn't have a fan downstairs, but I did have the window halfway open. And I just felt like something was constantly watching me, or something was evil down there. But I didn't know what it was. And so I would put my sheet and tuck myself, feet and head and everything, inside that sheet like a cocoon, and just barely get some breath to breathe. And anyway, make a long story short, that happened. And all of a sudden, one day, I decided, or I heard the horses acting up. And I thought, what's going on? Well, us kids felt like those horses was just as ours as they were Mr. Ziegler's. It was his name, because he was so kind to us kids that he would let us feed him, carrots and apples, and ride him when we could, when he was around, of course. And so anyway, we'd go out our back yard, and at the fence
We
were
have
feet.
1 second. We have just a
Sure.
little bit of a crack, like a little bit of a crackle that we're hearing.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Is it constant?
Yeah, it's got louder here, like toward the end where I'd stopped you.
Okay, well, let me see if I can. I'm not going to touch the iPad. I was holding it. Maybe that has something to do with it. Is it work? Is it better now?
A little bit of a crackle still.
Yeah, it's about the same. I mean, maybe a little better, but you can still hear it.
I cannot hear it on my end.
Right.
I don't
Okay, I
know
think
what.
it's let me see it. Let me make sure everybody is hearing you okay. I don't want to is she okay, guys? Are y'all still able to hear her as she talks to continue her story? I didn't want to waste your time to have to repeat what you're already saying.
Sure.
I'm waiting for the audience to let me know that that it's okay, if they can still hear you, because your story is amazing. Rachel says yes. Uh, it's okay. Okay, everybody said it's okay, so go ahead and continue. I just wanted to make sure so you didn't have to repeat
Okay.
yourself. I've had to do that a
No,
million times.
Yep.
that's fine. Well, anyway, so the horses were acting up. I mean, they were going. I mean, I never heard them act up so badly. They were going, and they were up on. And I looked out the window in the middle of the night, and they were, up on their back too. Especially the dad. I call it the dad of the teenage horse that they had just had last spring. Well, anyway, and the mother, was being harmed by this thing, and I didn't know what it meant. All I know was it looked like Mr. Ziegler was by the barn with the light on. Of course, the light shined as far as it could on the side of the barn, and it looked like he was pushing a big mother horse with his hips. Well, I didn't know what that meant back then. I was so dumb and naive, you know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, so I told my dad the next night what I saw, and he called Mr. Ziegler. Mr. Ziegler came down to the house because later that same evening, the horses were acting up again, and uh, the colt, or if you want to call it a colt, it was really more like almost a horse. I seen this thing kill it, uh, break its neck, turn its neck, and it looked at me.
Hold on, I have to stop you again. I'm getting people calling me. Yeah, I've got people saying it's actually got worse. Are you all hearing it worse on your end too, Calvin?
Yes.
Would you like to try your phone, Teresa? Would you want to try it like that?
Yeah, I can. Sure. You're going to send it to me?
We'll wait for you to try that. I know the other night you were.
I was having
Okay,
trouble
do you want me to? I'll just send it to your phone.
Send it to my phone, but this time it's not the 65. It's just McQuinn Teresa at gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Sounds good. I'll send it.
All right. I'll go ahead and get out of the iPad then.
Guys, while we're waiting on her, I'm going to take a 30-second break and plug my phone in.
Okay. I wanted to do that because she has such a great story. I don't want to anybody to miss anything she has to say. All right, Cal, are you hearing me okay right now? Can you hear me right now, Kurt?
Yeah.
We have a little bit of a delay tonight.
Yeah, earlier it was a real bad delay, or at least on my end.
Has it corrected itself a little bit?
It's corrected itself a whole lot.
Awesome.
I actually rebooted my phone, and it went away to the point where it is now, to where it's acceptable. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad.
Right. Janisha said she likes the painting on your wall, Kurt.
That's actually wallpaper. Yes, Tamara, you can only imagine. These things they're scary strong.
I don't think StreamYard's update's working too well.
It doesn't sound like that.
Everybody says we're clearer now.
Very good. I'm glad.
Whoa, there's Cal.
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yeah, you sound good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Cal's got I think he has the best actual audio tonight over all of us. I can hear him.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, I hear him real clear tonight.
Okay. Is everybody in the audience hearing me now? I found the problem.
Yeah, they said the echo's gone. Good. I hate echoes. I sound like I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
If I start answering myself, then y'all can really start worrying about me.
Oh, I do that.
Well, no, then that just shows you want an expert opinion.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I'll keep it up until I piss myself off and I cuss myself out.
Yeah.
Then you're thinking, man, he's such a smart ass.
Well, I guess being a smart ass is better than being a dumbass.
Oh.
I hope Teresa's getting everything.
Yeah, cause I'm telling you, this story needs to be brought out.
Correct.
It's awesome.
There's that one.
Mike, how's the weather down there right now in Oklahoma? I know you guys were supposed to get hit by a storm.
The storm missed us. It got so hot today, though. I saw two buzzards fighting a squirrel over a mud hole.
Well, when you and Janice called me earlier and I was at the grocery.
Yeah.
Okay, and I told you it was storming. It's still storming. It hasn't lit up. I mean, it ain't even lit up a little. I'm like, great. That's all we need.
Yeah, we got it here a little bit earlier this afternoon, but thank God it moved on.
There's Teresa, guys. We're actually going to be able to see her now, too. So I think everybody will like that a little bit better also.
Great.
Anyway, you want me to start where I ended? Anyway, so I forgot to tell you.
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you a lot better.
Oh, good.
Yes.
When the thing turned its neck and killed it, it looked at me at the window looking at it. I didn't know what it was. I could see it in the field do this. And all of a sudden I seen these red amber eyes. glowing at me, just red eyes. And I thought, what is the, I'm 11, I'm trying to figure this out. I mean, it's like Mr. Ziegler. I mean, that don't make any sense. Does he have glasses on? What is going on? Well, anyway, it got up through the horse, and this is no tiny horse. This is a big, almost full grown horse over its shoulder and ran like the wind to the V where it came together and kind of jumped the fence, kind of walked over the fence. And then I couldn't see it anymore because it went through the little town. So I didn't know where it went. Well, of course, my dad worked a lot. He worked 2 really or 3 jobs, but he anyway, I tried to wake him up, but he said, "We'll talk about this in the morning." You know, I don't know why nobody wants to believe a kid, you know, when they're trying to warn you about something or tell you about something. But anyway, so of course I'm too scared to sleep downstairs in my room. So there in turn, I ended up back in my sister's room. She was the youngest, the baby. Well, she was 5, and I ended up sleeping about underneath her bed. It's about almost. Uh, but anyway, so that's one thing. Oh, and when Mr. Ziegler came the night before, when it did that to the mother horse, I tried to explain. I said, "What were you doing with the mother horse?" And because I never knew what to call these, mother horse, dad horse. And he said, "Well, I wasn't doing anything." And he said, "Well, then Dad tried to explain some what I told Dad." And he said, "Well, I was just trying to move her," he said. So he says, "Oh, she doesn't know anything about that." He said, "Well, no, but she's getting a lesson now, you know." Well, anyway, so nights went by after that. And of course, I told Dad I was too scared to sleep downstairs. I told Mom. I mean, I just couldn't get my act together. I mean, I was staying up all night awake, and talk about tired the next day. I was
Sure.
exhausted, and school hadn't started quite yet. Well, it would have started on Tuesday, and coming up in Labor Day, but in the meantime, it hadn't started yet. So summer was here. Mom thought I needed friends. She says, "You need to get out with your girlfriends. You need to do this and that." And I'm like, "I don't want to be out there. You know, there's a monster out there. I mean, what do you tell them?" She didn't believe me. Nobody believed me. I mean, Dad was saying, "Teresa, there's no monsters." And I'm like, "Yeah, there is. There's God and there's monsters. And but anyway, so in the meantime, I got through summer as best I could. And there was a girl, I forgot to tell you this, Mike, but there was a girl that was having a slumber party on the other side of the V, close to where it, came together, the field. And she invited me to her slumber party. Well, I didn't want to go. I didn't know this girl very well. I knew she went to school with me, but I didn't know her that well. And Mom says, "Teresa, you need to go." Mom's making me go. So I'm going, and I get over there, and I find out, guess where we're sleeping? Outside in the tent. We're having a sleeping, uh, whatever you want to call it.
A camp out.
Yeah, camp
Yeah.
out in their backyard in the tent. Guess what touched my head? A big finger. Yeah, we were all scared. That's when cigarettes was brought into my life. She asked me if I want one. I said, "No, I don't want one." My dad had a hard time quitting on those things. "No, I don't want one." That thing touched my head. Give me a cigarette so I could burn it to death. That's what I wanted to do. But anyway, so, and that didn't work out. But in the meantime, we all went in. Her mother came out and got me because I wouldn't go out the tent. And she came out and got me. She says, Teresa, something's out here, isn't it? She felt it too, I think, there at the end, her mom. So we get in the house, and I didn't even go in the bedroom with the girls. They were all doing their thing, laughing and doing whatever. And I stayed in the family room on the couch. And I was just scared to death. I just wanted to go home, but yet I didn't want to go home because that wasn't safe either. So I didn't know what this thing was. Well, so then here comes Labor Day. Oh no, I forgot to tell you. It came to the window. All of a sudden one night I was looking out and I was hearing more coyotes. Well, dummy me, have to look out the window again. And the horses were okay. After the horse was taken and all of that happened to the horse, Mr. Ziegler put the horses up every night in the big barn. He wouldn't leave them out. And so they couldn't just run around like normal, And, but anyway, one night I heard commotion with the coyotes, and I was scared. I was just petrified. It was like something was watching me, but yet I just felt like evil was present. That's all I can say. And so maybe it's because I'm the, I was the one that could be eaten. I don't know if that's why I felt that way. I have no idea. But anyway, all of a sudden I looked at the window and there wasn't nothing there. And the window was open, like again, halfway. And it was summer, hot as can be. And all of a sudden it went like from the side of the window to right there in front of me. I got passed out. I'm like, what is this? What is this? And finally I said, what are you? I didn't know, and it said, you talked first. I thought, well, I just did something wrong again, I guess, Well, anyway, so then it started to speak to me telepathically, of course, and I didn't know how I was hearing it and understanding what it was trying to tell me. At the same time, I didn't see its mouth move, and I even said, well, your mouth's not moving. And then it acted like it tried to move its mouth, to get it synchronized with its thoughts, but it didn't match up with its thoughts for some reason. And so I'm like, okay. And I said, why did you kill I said my horse. I didn't care whether he thought it was mine or not, but I just said, why did you kill my horse? He said, hungry. And he says, and then he looked at me. Oh, of course, he was looking right at me. He said, and all I had was a screen in between it and me. And I was just petrified of the way this thing looked, the way I just didn't understand any of it. And in the meantime, it said to me, it locked my tongue and my eyes. Well, I could understand the eyes part, maybe, thinking that a guy likes a girl's eyes, sometimes, but the tongue, that was way out there. And then I thought to myself, it wants to eat me. It definitely wants to eat me. I've been around enough animals. We had dogs, we had cats, we had the horses. We've seen enough of animals need to eat other animals, if you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, then I backed up just a tiny bit. And I mean, all it could do was just tear off that screen and reach in and get me. I mean, I could have been dead in 2 heartbeats. And and then I heard my mom or dad get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And I thought, oh, don't come down here. But yet I want to go. I want to go upstairs. So I ran upstairs as fast as I could. And they asked me what I was doing, and I said, I heard something. Something's out there. Well, it was Dad. And Dad went out there. He says, Teresa, there's nothing out here. He went outside. He did everything. This thing was gone. Probably just on the side of the house is probably where it was. But anyway, in the meantime, he made me go back to bed. Well, as soon as he went to bed himself, I scurried back up those 2 steps. It was a tri-level. The main level was all one level. When you walk into the living room, dining room, kitchen, and then the garage, and then you go down or go up into the living room, cathedral ceilings, and you go and you go up that way to the 3 bedrooms, and then in the kitchen area, almost to the dining room area, is where the pretty stairs were going down. It was all to my room, and so it was a different layout than it's like it is today. I haven't seen any more built like that. Actually, it was a gorgeous home. But in the meantime, so I ran up again, and I slept next to my sister's bed again, or I think it was her bed or my brother's. I can't really remember now. But I mean, I'm laying on the floor, hardwood floors, by the way, with no pillow. I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm tired, the whole bit. Well, anyway, so we got through this. I got through that ordeal, and I just would shake. I couldn't get myself to stop, and then I didn't hear it, didn't see it, didn't feel it for several, maybe a month or so. And I got more relaxed, and I thought, okay, maybe things are going to work out. Maybe it's long gone. Maybe it's, and Dad even said something to that nature. He says, whatever it was, it's long gone, And so I'm thinking, okay. So we get to Labor Day weekend, and my mother always went down to my grandmother's house in Rushville, which was 50 miles away from Pleasant View, where we lived. And I always loved to go to grandma's, so I was ready to go. I mean, just take me, I'll go. Dad had to work. He had doubles, and he also had to work at Indianapolis Power and Light at the time, and so he, was quite busy. But anyway, so Saturday morning, Labor Day weekend, I believe that was the 1st of 1968, Labor Day. My mother talked me in again the night before to go to my other girlfriend's house. Well, I didn't like going to her house, before, but she had a horse, and I just didn't want to deal with that. I mean, I had enough issues with the horse, seeing what I saw, and so anyway, and I just didn't feel like riding, but anyway, I didn't mind seeing her, but I thought Mom was going to drop me off. And so we had a Cadillac with the top down, and I think it was a 63 or 6, something like that. Anyway, I thought she was going to take me. Well, at the last minute in the morning, Mom says, Teresa, I'm running a little late. You can ride your bike over there. I'm like, what? I mean, I was like this, stuttering almost, like this. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to ride my bike over there. It's hot, I used every excuse I could think of, I didn't know where that thing was. And the last time I rode over that way, there was something throwing little tiny pebble rocks at me. And I wasn't sure. I thought it was a bunch of boys playing in those weeds, or those bushes. What you did is, Pleasant View was on one side of the highway, and you go over the highway bridge, which is still the same. Go over the highway bridge, and you go down the hill, and then you turn left, and then you turn left again, and that frontage road runs right next to the highway. The only thing in between it is like 2, 5, 6 foot uh, hill, like a ditch with the fence kind of in the middle or somewhere in there. And so anyway, I get on the bike, and it's not even my bike because my bike's not working. So I have to ride my brother's bike, which is one of those little banana, banana things, And I get going, I get over there. Well, something even before I got over the bridge told me not to go. Just something in me said something's wrong. Something seriously is wrong. Don't go. But I didn't have any. So I turned around and I ran and I pedaled as fast as I could to see if I could catch up with Mom. Well, she was going the opposite way down past the orchard, past on our road. And the dust was flying, the rocks were flying, because back then, even though they had cement in some of that, it was still rock. It was still not quite all to par, if you know what I'm saying. Dirt. It was like a dirt road. Well, anyway, I was going like this and riding my bike as hard as I could. And of course, the kids were little, so they were tucked down into the seats, probably on the floorboard. And Mom, she's got her scarf on, and she's just having a heyday, driving down as fast as she can. Well, by that time, I realized I'm not going to catch her. So I came back past our house. I looked at Mr. Ziegler's house. Nobody's there. I looked at the neighbor that I knew next to us. Nobody's there. I went to the other side. Nobody's there. I mean, I knocked on doors. I mean, anybody take me in, please. I don't want to go to Chris's house. There's something telling me not to ride my bike down that way. And, I mean, nobody's at the church. The church was at the end of our road, closer to town. And so, I mean, I did everything that I possibly could. Well, finally, I even got to the gas station. And I went in and I told, I forgot his name. That's terrible. Anyway, it was a marathon station. And I told him that, he says, "Hi, Teresa, what's up?" And I says, "I'm waiting on my dad." Well, I kind of lied. And he says, "Well, he's working today." I said, "Yeah, it's Saturday." He has to go in. He had to go in to check on the doubles. He said, yeah, that happens." He's talking. He said, "You want to have, Coke?" I says, "Yeah." So I sat there and drank a Coke, talking to him. And I thought, anything, just I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay by somebody, some man that could keep me safe. Well, anyway, so I finally, he said something to me like, "Well, listen, I'm going to have to close. I'm closing the shop for a while," or something. I can't remember what time it was or anything, but he mentioned to me that he was going to, I guess, go next door and have his lunch, because that's where he lived, next door in a real nice house. And so I thought, okay, great. Now what do I do? I thought to myself, and I didn't know the people that owned the store very well because it was a new takeover type of thing. Well, anyway, so then I thought, I've got to get over to Chris's or they're going to wonder where in the heck I am. So I thought, I just got to do it. And then I even thought about going to this little boyfriend I had, the note passing at school. That was all it was, just passing notes, and to see if he was home. But then I thought to myself, I just didn't know, whether he'd be there or not. Well, anyway, so I finally get on the bike again. I go over the bridge, go turn left, then turn left again. And here I am. And right before you get to a wooded area, which is, I'm not very good on judgment as far as how many acres. It could have been 30 or 50 acres for all I know, but it started at the water edge and stopped at a certain point past a barn, I think, was there. Well, anyway, the creek that was there is called Sugar Creek, and you go over a cement bridge. Back then they fixed it to go over a cement bridge. Well, here I'm thinking, okay, let's go. Let's get this done. Get past those, bushes down there, the forest or whatever you want to call it. So I'm starting to go, and then all of a sudden, I see this thing run out real fast, and I don't know what it was even to this day. Rabbit. I just don't know. And all of a sudden, I could hear and feel the ground shake, and this massive thing moving through the brush of the forest or the woods. And I'm like, okay, is it a horse or is it a big deer? I'm trying to think what this is. And I thought, well, I better stay back because it could run me over, kill me. So I thought, okay, so I was at the very start of that bridge of Sugar Creek. So I stayed right there and straddled that bike. All of a sudden, after several minutes of this pound, I mean, it even went through my chest. I mean, it was that, seemed like it was that, bad. But anyway, it got to the end of it, and what comes out was, started calling it Monkey Man by then. Monkey Man. Because that was my name for it, because I didn't know what it was. And I had to call it something, in my head, Well, anyway, so all of a sudden it held on to a pretty fat tree, actually. It was holding on to a fat tree. There was a big ditch there. I don't know whether it was 5 or 6 feet, but it was really 3 or 4 anyway. And then the frontage road, then the grass going lead with the fence going up to the highway where the cars were going. The cars were just going by and seeing this thing and seeing me. And I'm thinking, oh God, I've got to go. I've got to turn around. I've got to maybe it'll let me go. Maybe it'll just leave me alone. So I turn, I fumble. I even hurt my shin, like with the bike pedal. I'm trying to get turned around. I'm trying to get that first, step or push. And I did. I got 1 or 2 pushes in. And then all of a sudden, I felt it pick up me. It picked me up by my hair. He grabbed all my hair on the top of my head. And I'm dangling. And I'm a pretty tall 11-year-old because my dad's tall. So I took after him. And so, but I'm dangling and looking down at Sugar Creek as he's running by. He took me down to that spot where he came out, In the meantime, I grabbed onto its arm, this part of its arm, because it was tearing my hair out. You know what I mean? I could just feel I could hear it even, my hair, Well, anyway, so we get to the end. It sets me down, but it doesn't let go of me. And it starts to pull me into the woods. And I'm thinking, I'm not going into those woods with this thing. I mean, number one, is either going to eat me or it's going to do the other thing to me. I am not going. I mean, I'll die right here. Matter of fact, I felt like I was going to pass out. I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. My body was doing things that I never knew a body could do. I mean, the insides were churning. My whole insides were turning. I can't explain it wasn't painful, but yet it was discomfort. And I mean, it was like my intestines were not where they're supposed to be. And all of a sudden I did pee my pants. I had white shorts on with a red shirt and white tennis shoes. I was so proud of myself that day. Well, anyway, and it wouldn't let me go. So I went like this to its forearm here. and I went like this to let me go. It let me go. It I think it was shocked that I was petting it instead of instead of maybe thrown, mad and angry and let me go type of thing. Well, anyway, so then I said, it's okay. And then I started to talk about its foot and my foot. I said, your foot, my foot. My shoe kept coming off. It was dangling half the time. But anyway, I took my shoe off. I was trying to get it back on. And in the meantime, I seen its foot look just like my foot. So I said, your foot, my foot. Your foot, my foot. And I was trying to, and then I got it to wave at people. I said, hold your arm up and say hi. I was trying to get anybody's attention that could. Well, people were slowing down left and right on that highway. I mean, I had a semi with two big men in it, and they said, let her go, brute, or something of that nature. And it growled at him, like, went through the chest, this big whatever. And this one guy on the passenger side goes, whoa, let's go. And so they went on. And then later I got a guy in a sports car, and he got out of his car. He says, do you need some help, honey? And I said, I just shook my head. And he said, oh my God. And then he backed up, fell on the first part of the V of the grass between, in between where the fence was, the highway fence. And he's almost down to the fence. And he's crawling back like this, like, don't get me. He says, what's your name? And I told him, what's your age? I said, I'm 11. He said, oh, you're a big 11. I'm thinking, thanks a lot, And it wasn't that I was fat. I was just tall, And so I'm doing everything I can to entertain this thing. I was singing to it. I was singing everything, Jesus' name. And when I said Jesus' name, he didn't like it. He growled at me. I mean, growled to the point of don't do it or you're dead type meaning. You know what I mean? That kind of anger. And so the other guy left. Finally.
Can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
Just, I think everybody's a little confused. He kind of looked more like a large man, didn't he, than like a beast? Is that what was confusing the cars?
No,
maybe
it was he looked like a beast.
like a beast.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. There's so many features of a man that he had, like his thighs,
right,
and his
yes.
all of his leg. I mean, and his arms. The muscles were so massive that they were just almost. You just couldn't figure out, where did he get that big? How did he get that big?
Wow.
What is this thing? God didn't make this thing. That's what I'm thinking. I'm a Christian. I believe I accepted Jesus as my Savior when I was 10 years old. I mean, I knew about Jesus. I mean, he was my buddy when I read the Word. You know what I mean? But I didn't know about Genesis 6 back then. I didn't. No one talks to kids about Genesis 6. Back then, it was kind of a taboo type thing to talk about it. I think it's maybe it's coming out a little bit more nowadays. Maybe, programs like this for one. But he had like
I'll let you just go ahead and continue.
He had like a manly face. His hair is hair. It is not wool. It's not fur. It is like my hair, but it's just like it's my hair gets what's the word? It's just rough, I mean, you need some conditioner in it, that kind of thing. But yet it felt a little soft in some areas too. And it's real long. It got caught in my hair, as a matter of fact, because his arm was right there, carrying my head. So something out of his arm area or his hand area got into my hair and his hair. But it had red hair, uh, maybe a little brown, but mostly red. It had uh, kind of a red suntan like look to it at times when you look through the fur, because I guess it's outside all the time. But yet, on the other hand, it was dirty. It smelled terrible. I mean, there was so many times it was hard to sing and try to breathe at the same time around that thing. And because I was breathing, I mean, I was singing everything I knew. And finally, this man and his wife came to me, or drove past me slow, real slow, just like almost slow motion. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, help me. You know, I didn't say it out loud. That's a new language. I knew it, new language. And because it even told me at the window back at the house, it said, I said, do you speak English? And it said to my head, I speak many languages. They speak many languages. But anyway, uh, so this guy and his wife went by real slow, and I thought, please don't leave me, please don't leave me, get me, help me. Well, anyway, so they left, went up. I guess they went up to. He dropped his wife at the gas station, and so she stayed up there. Well, he was probably not there. The gas station was closed for lunch, I guess. And so anyway, the man came back slowly, and he had a, a handgun on the seat. The handgun was all silver. It looked like some Western gun. Matter of fact, it looked like something that wasn't even real. You know what I mean? Like some kid would have to play with. You know what I mean? Back then. Uh, but uh, but anyway, this man stopped right before me and it, and I said to it, I said, I, I wasn't going to go in those woods and have my parents not know where I was. I'm going as smart as I can. And I looked at it and I held my finger up like this. And I said, I'll be back. I'm telling this man I'm going with you. Well, I knew it was a downright lie. And I'm like apologizing to the Lord at the same time, you know, or sorry, God, you know what I mean? And I said, I'll be back. Just a minute. Just a minute. So I walked in front of the car and to the man's side where he was driving. He held up his seatbelt to me behind him. And I thought, shoot, I don't know how I can do this. I mean, I'm a pretty big 11-year-old, you know. So anyway, he says, we've got to do this and we've got to do it fast. And I said, I know. And this thing knew what we were saying, I think, because it started to walk over to me. And I said, just a minute. And I held my finger up again. I said, just a minute. I'm going to go with you. Just a minute. I am not going to let my parents not know where I am. And so it was like I was scolding it, you know, and it was like taking it, you know. And so I grabbed onto the seatbelt as fast as I could, and he took off. Eventually, he was 60 miles an hour. I was trying to pull myself in, which it took everything. I mean, I was exhausted from no sleep to riding my bike so much, to singing this thing, plus scared to death, in shock, whatever. My whole body system was just about ready to collapse. And I pulled myself in enough, and the guy was helping me. The man was up, and he looked about probably my age now, you know, back then. So anywhere from 55 to 65. And so I pulled myself in with the seatbelt. Finally got in the car. He says, don't look back. And I said, my shoe fell off. He said, don't worry about your shoe. I said, okay. He said, don't look back. And so I guess he was following us. He was running after us 16 miles an hour, keeping up with the car. If he had gotten that car and got a hold of it the right way, he could have stopped it, and no problem, no problem. And so anyway, so he said, and the man was, and I can't remember his name. My dad wrote it down later, but anyway, he says, "Oh my gosh, my grandkids are outside playing in the yard." Well, that must have been close because we were out there in that area, you know. He says, where do you live?" I said, "I live in Pleasant View. My parents aren't home." I said, "I need to get to my girlfriend's house." That's where I was going. And so he took me to my girlfriend's house and about passed it up because we were both nervous as wreck. And he drove up almost into the backyard. We seen my girlfriend on her horse. I seen it back in the corral and behind the barn. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I could hear that thing running. I could hear it running. You know, as we're going into the backyard practically, it's veering off like this to go around the barn. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if it tries to get Chris, I'm never going to forgive myself. Well, anyway, so I got out of the truck or the car, and I thanked him, the man, as quick as I could. And he says, "Go, run," you know. And I am, and I ran, and I got into the back porch, got in that. For some reason, that back door did not want to open. I think I was nervous. I was scared, and I wasn't turning the knob right. And I was using my whole hip to break that door down to get in. I just wanted in. So I ran into the living room area, kitchen first, then the living room's in front of it. I ran into the living room, sat down on the floor. I didn't even think about my potty and myself, you know, getting it on her carpet. And Marie, her mother, was concerned about that when she found out I was sitting there in my pee, or, you know. And but anyway, and then when they got to me, luckily Bud, they called him Bud, but his name was Robert. He was out in the garage, and he was a hunter, and I was thankful for that. And he said, "Teresa, what is wrong?" And I couldn't get anything out. I mean, it was like nothing would come out. It was like, you won't believe it, and I can't tell you. I mean, it's just so much. Well, anyway, so he said, excuse me. I said, "A monster got me." He said, "A monster?" I said, "Monkey man." He said, "Monkey man." So finally he was thinking. You could see his wheels a turning. And Marie, her mom, I said, "Get Chris." I'm yelling. Finally I got that out. "Get Chris." And he said, "You want Chris?" And I said, "Yes, get Chris." I'm worried that Chris is going to get taken. Well, anyway, so he goes, "Teresa, look, just a minute." So he goes back out to the garage. He gets a magazine, a hunting magazine. He said, "Did you see something like this?" And it was one of those sketches that somebody took a pencil and sketched a Bigfoot, but it was like pencil markings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've seen it, right? And he said, "Was it that?" And I said, and I shook my head. Yeah. And then I said, "Yes, get Chris." And he goes, "Oh my God, I got to get my daughter." So he gets up, runs out, gets Chris, puts the horse in the barn, locks the barn, does all his, normal thing, gets her, and he tells her to get to her room. Well, she probably thought she was in trouble, but no, we all wanted her safe. So anyway, Marie finally put me into the, called my dad, and he said, "Well, I can't get down there yet, but I'll be there as soon as I can." He said, "What's going on?" And he goes, "Something got her." And he goes, "All right." So anyway, he said, "I'll be there as soon as I can." Well, anyway, he was going double to pick up rent and fix things and do his normal stuff. Well, anyway, in the meantime, she put me in the shower. Well, there was a long piece of hair of it. He said, she pulled it out of my hair and she said, whose hair is this? I said, it's Monkey Man's hair, and she went like that and she threw it in the trash. Well, that would have been perfect, as far as, to tell people what that was, at the time. But in the meantime, I took a shower, freezing to death, shaking to death. It wasn't that I was cold. I think I was just in shock. I was just scared to death. And so I wanted my dad, but yet I didn't want to go home because that was scary too. That thing could come back. Well, anyway, by the time my dad got there, it was dark. And I thought, oh, great. That's all I need. So he comes in, he says, what's going on, Teresa? And I couldn't talk. I couldn't get the words out still. And so anyway, but I did fall asleep maybe a couple minutes. But anyway, he said, well, let's go home and we'll talk about it then. So he gets me in the truck. I think it was the truck. And I didn't pay attention to what I was in. But anyway, he had to get my bike and my shoe. I said, Dad, forget the shoe. I think I said that. I was like, I don't care about my shoe. Let's just get home. I was scared. I didn't want to stop there where it took me because it could take my dad too. So anyway, we get home. We get at the church, and he stops at the church. He says, now, Teresa, what's going on? Talk to your dad. Tell me what's going on. And I'm like, Dad, just please, I want to go home. I'm crying. At this point, I'm crying. Please, I'm begging. I says, I'll tell you when I get home. We get home. I promise you, I will tell you when we get home. So he says, okay. So cause the tree behind us was a big bush, and it probably was a good 15, 20 foot something, bunch of nothing, but it was just there. And it was moving. It was moving, and there was no wind, or anything. So I still think to this day that thing was in there or behind it. But anyway, we got in the house, finally went down there, and all of a sudden I'm downstairs. He goes, Dad told me to go downstairs and get my pajamas on. And I'm like, oh, who cares about the pajamas? Just, Anyway, so we get down there, and all of a sudden we hear this big, and I hear it still to this day. It takes its arm and it goes, beats my door. And every place I've moved, it's done this to me. And as God is my holy witness, I mean, it just wants me to know that it knows where I'm at, I guess. But in the meantime, we get down there, and Dad's going, what is that? What is going on? Well, let me see what this is. So we, can you still hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So all of a sudden, Dad says, Teresa, put your feet at the bottom of the door. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, so he showed me where his toes were in his shoe were up against the door, and mine were too. Of course, mine was back. His was more forward, toward the where you can open it. And he said, I'm going to open it about an inch or two. He said, I got to see this thing. I said, no, you don't, Dad. No, you don't. If you open that door, you won't get it shut. He said, oh, yes, I am. He said, yes, I will, Teresa. I said, no, you're not strong enough. And I mean, I'm begging him. I'm crying again. I'm just begging him. Don't open the door. And this is the walkout basement door, by the way, guys. And it was just one door. Back then, they didn't have, well, he didn't put a patio door in it. I don't know whether they had them back then or not. We had a patio picture window that was downstairs that you could see out next to that door. Anyway, so he opens the door, and that thing growled, and it pushed on the door, and Dad could hardly hold that door. He couldn't even barely hold the door. and both of us are helping. I mean, I'm helping him as much as I can. And he said, Teresa, go get something. And I said, what do you want? And he says, go in the bathroom, see if there's any cleaner or anything, spray, anything. So I get in there and there's Comet or Ajax. I forget now which it was. I think it was Ajax. And I said, there's Ajax. And he goes, bring that. So he takes the Ajax bottle, and it's kind of like this. This is lens cleaner. And he goes like this with it upside down, and this is the holes up there. You know how you got the Ajax bottle open? He went like that outside that 2-inch hole, a hole that he opened the door in, and got it all over Monkey Man's face. And Monkey Man's coughing, and he's getting angry. But by that time, Dad got the door shut. We pushed the piano in front of it, locked the piano keys, the wheels. He ran out to the garage. Dad had to do this so fast. He went and got nails and 2x4s. And he started nailing every door shut in the house, starting with the basement. And we could see Monkey Man after he got that kind of off its face. It went past the picture window, kind of up the hill, because the house is dug into the ground, pretty much, and going up the hill on the side of the hill to get to the main level of the house, and it's going for the front door. Well, Dad's chasing the front door, doing the same thing. He's nailing them shut. Everyone was nailed. Everyone was nailed. I mean, he had to nail the garage doors, because we had two, one in the front, one in the back, that was regular doors going outside and inside, besides the two big garage doors with the cars, And then we had the garage door going from the kitchen into the garage. So we had that one locked or nailed. And then, so, I mean, Dad was like, a matter of fact, when Dad seen that thing, he went, whoa, like that. I remember that as clear as day. And Dad said, you stood in front of this thing, singing to it and everything all day long, or most of the day. I said, I don't know how long, Dad. It was a long time. And I said, I had to stay alive. I said, if not, you guys would not know where I was. And he started crying and gave me a hug, then he said, Teresa, I will never, never not believe you again. I said, Dad, I have no reason to lie to you. Never did, never would, Well, he just thought it wasn't a lie. I think he just thought it was a dream. He kept thinking it was a bad dream, and kind of things like that. So we ended up that night sleeping under the stairs in the living room. But it was either that night, I think it was the next night maybe. I might have my nights confused. The people started coming out. The two men in the truck came out, semi. The guy in the sports car that was dressed nice came out, found me. The sheriff that helped me and got me away from Bigfoot came, and his wife didn't, but he did, talking to Dad. And then that night, it was dark. All of a sudden, Dad would have to unnail that front door every time somebody come out. That night, somebody knocked on the door, and they were all dressed in black suits. 4 of them. Well, we didn't know what was going on. My dad didn't know any more than I knew, Well, he says, well, just a minute. My daughter doesn't need to hear this. He said, if you need to talk to me, I'll talk to you about her. So I'm standing in the dining room looking out front, scary, like, Dad, come back, don't leave me, that's how I'm feeling. And Dad goes outside and they walk out front in the yard or close to the end of the driveway, actually. And they're all talking. And Dad came back later. He was scared. Dad, there was something that those men said to him that made him realize he better shut up, because there's nothing that he's going to say to make this any better. You know what I mean? To tell anybody about it. Well, what was I going to do? Anyway, like I said, this was Saturday when it happened. That was Saturday night, Sunday, maybe night. And then I think it was Sunday when everybody started coming out. And then Monday, it was Labor Day, I think. And then Tuesday, I had to go to school. Guess what came to school with Teresa? Guess what came to school with me? It followed me to school. It followed me. All of a sudden, there was some noise, a commotion. And this was an old school. Matter of fact, it's not even there anymore. They condemned it, but it was a beautiful old school. And it was kind of like had a courtyard in the middle. And when you were up on the first floor, you felt like you were on the second floor because it had a basement underneath that. And so when we were in our back rooms back there, kind of like a U shape or a circle, we were more, some of the kids' ages meant where you were in a sense. So I was 11, I was in one section, maybe the third graders, I think they were way over here on the other side of the school compound, you know what I mean, if you want to call that grassy area and stuff, an area where they went out and played, But there was also playing areas outside that of the school. Well, so all of a sudden we had our windows open because it was hot, right? It was Tuesday. That would have been the 5th of September, 1968. And there was a kid said, "There's a monster out there." And the teacher goes, "Oh, sit down, so and so. You have no idea." She was just thinking he was just trying to be silly, And she went back there and thought, well, somebody's throwing rocks up here. What is going on? So she looked over the window, with the window being that, kind of cranked out, and she seen it, and she screamed. I never once screamed because I didn't want Mom and Dad to get hurt. I didn't want my mom and my sister and brother to get hurt. If it would have came in and stormed in to get me or it could have killed anybody. It could have killed us all, so I didn't want them hurt. So that's why I did what I felt like I should do, not that it was right, but I just had to save us all the best I knew how. But anyway, so the teacher went running and screaming down the long hallway to the front of the U or circle and courtyard, whatever. And she gets Mr. McKinney. He was our principal. And she told him what she saw. Well, they came, look, I guess they called Dad and Mom. I think Mom. Yeah, they got Mom involved in it. And Mom goes, "Oh, Teresa, what kind of story are you telling them?" She didn't believe a word they were telling her. Dad was saying or whatever. Dad was scared to death. He didn't know what to do. All he knew was he was trying to keep me alive or keep that thing from getting me. Because here now it's at school. What in the world what's he gonna do? He can't stay at work from work every day. There was a lot involved with Dad's worry, I'm sure. So, but anyway, so finally Mr. McKinney got everybody to leave the school one by one, like a fire drill. We all stood in line in the fire drill lines. and he would let one bus as it came up, and he would make that bus go as close to the door as possible. That way the kids, and then he would stand out there, and then another teacher would stand out there, and they'd get those kids on the bus. You know what I mean? Whatever bus you were on, you know. And so it was just it was it was beyond words, beyond anything that I could think of to even explain to anyone, what I had been through. Actually, I was still in shock a lot because there was sometimes I still couldn't talk. I mean, it would just wouldn't come out, and I just felt like I was going to shake, or I was going to fall, or I was going to pass out, or I just didn't have enough. I just don't know what it was, but I just didn't have enough energy anymore. It was like I was exhausted. And but anyway, so we got through that night. And after that, Dad, as much as he loved the house that he built and how much we loved it out there, I mean, it was home to us. We had been out there 5 years. He said, we're going to have to move. And so him and Mom talked, and he asked her what kind of house he wanted. This time he's going to build another one. But in the meantime, we're going to have to rent a house. So we rented a nice house off of 52, which was farther away than this area. And he didn't think that we'd have any trouble. Well, guess what? We did. You still hear me? Okay. We had a big slap or two at that front door. Like, oh, here, Teresa will come out, or let's play, whatever this whole thing was all about. And so Dad was like, Teresa, don't you go out that back door. I don't care what you're worried about or what you're thinking about. He said, you stay right here. And Mom and him starting to argue. And Mom didn't understand a thing. She didn't see it yet. She didn't know what happened. Dad didn't know how to explain it, but yet he was trying to protect her too, and the kids, the little ones. And I was just as guilty of that. But talk about grown up. I grown up when I was 11. I felt like I grew up when I was 11 all the way to 20. You know what I mean? And I don't even know what I was growing up from. You know what I'm saying? All that responsibility, and fear and just awfulness, So, but to this day, I got married at 17. And married because there wasn't anything else where for me to go. And we were tired. Every place we moved to, it would do this to us. And Dad said, Teresa, if you want to, you do what you think's best for yourself. He said, I've got to take care of Mom and the kids. I said, Dad, I understand. I understand that. So there was a boy that liked me, and of course, that's my kid's dad. And he lived in Rushville, and he was 16, and I was 13 when we first met. And then when he was a certain age, I was 17, he got into the service. So I thought, okay, let's go to Virginia. Let's see if this thing goes there. It's not going to want to be in that populated area. Talk about populated. You're right there on the base, or by the base. Get the guns out, guys. Come on. So, it followed me at every apartment I ever lived in, or every double, or every house. I would move so much, I would exhaust myself, because my husband at the time was out to sea constantly, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. It depended on where they were going and what they were doing. And so if I wanted to move, I could move as long as I had the money to do it. And so I did it, for my kids were real little. My son first, and then my daughter. Later, my husband and I separated and divorced. And I gave half custody to my husband or my ex-husband due to the fact that I didn't want my kids hurt. If I had to not be around, my children to keep them safe, by golly, I was going to do it. And so he married another woman that had children. And so they liked playing together, all the kids. So I was very willing, even though it hurt me to the core. And I mean, I could just cry about every day missing them. But I wasn't going to let Monkey Man take my children, you know what I mean, or hurt them in any way, shape, or form. And so, I mean, I kept Randy and Rhonda safe, my brother and sister. I was going to keep my kids safe, So, but anyway, they still don't believe me. I try to tell them. It's hard to sit there and tell them this because it's like I can't explain why it's hard. I guess it's because they don't give me much credit, for this being true. Why would I lie? You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't explain that. But I wish my dad was still alive. He died in 2010. And the last thing he said before he died was, Teresa, remember Monkey Man. Well, my current husband heard all of this, and Dad told him, and he said, remember Monkey Man. And so Jeff knows, and he's heard the doors, being hit, real hard. And I said, don't you open that door. Don't you dare open that door. I said, we have to just wait and see what happens. And of course, it's a metal door now. You know what I mean? It's steel door. So that's helpful, for all of us. But yet, on the other hand, this thing is so massive and so big. If it wanted to, I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? So, but anyway, I do my best.
Right.
Try to stay safe. Go ahead, Mike. You got a question? I'm sure there's a lot of questions.
No, you have just been through so much.
Yeah, more than it's aged me. It's aged me. It's to the point where I think to myself, well, my body doesn't want to go anymore like it used to. My legs, it just everything on me shutting down to the point where it's hard for me to get around. And if it was trying to get me now, I mean, that's what worries me the most. If I go outside for anything, which my husband takes the dog out, but if I go outside for anything, if I was snatched by that thing in any way, shape, or form, there's no way I'm going to sing or get away from it this time because I'm tired.
Right.
I'm wore out. So. But yeah, I think you said something about imprinting, Mike. I can't hear you. You said something about imprinting on me.
I believe that it may have imprinted on you because you say that even to this day, you're even having trouble with it, even now at the house you're at now, correct?
Oh, yeah. There was one time when we moved home and my husband got out of the service, we rented a house out here farther away from the area, but it was a nice house until we bought something. And the kids were living with me at the time. And all of a sudden, I seen it go past the door in the window. And it started hitting and pounding on the back door. And I'm crying. Leave me alone. Go away. Just stop this. Leave me alone. I mean, I am down on my butt again in front of that door.
Oh, yeah.
I called my dad, and Dad said, I'm on my way. And he came in the front door, and I'm crying still. I just am besides myself. As soon he goes, shh, let's listen. He's telling me, let's listen. What is this thing's going to do? Well, we had a basement, a walk-in basement. Well, you walked into the garage. But the doors were so weird on that thing. I mean, to the point where everything got stuck. But anyway, it got it open, I guess. But we heard it start coming up the steps, and he says, "Come on." And so Dad and I went out the front door. We got in the car at the time, and then Monkey Man got a hold of me and my arm again, and I'm like, oh, not again. I can't go through this. I just don't want to. Leave me alone. I was just crying, and Dad went over and bit its arm to let me go. And at the whole way back to Dad's house, Dad is spitting. He is spitting in his car. Believe me, you don't do that in Dad's car. He's spitting in his car.
Right.
Every bit of that taste. He said, "Oh my God, that's just He was trying to spit out the door. He was spitting out he was just. But the thing was following us at the same time. So Dad was having to, he said, "Here, Teresa, drive." So I'm trying to keep on the road while Dad's spitting, and so we don't get into the ditch, get into a wreck. Well, anyway, so finally Dad gets I think he had a beer come out from underneath the seat or something. I don't know. But he took a drink, I think. I didn't even care. I said, "Dad, here, take it,"
Right.
And but anyway, we got to his house, and he parked really crooked right there in front of his door, his side door. He had remodeled an old farmhouse and put a 3-car garage with a carport right there, and it was really cool. But anyway, and he was remarried, by the way. So we ran in. He said, "Teresa, come on, let's get in there." He said, "You go upstairs." So I'm running upstairs, okay. And Roxy's going, "What's going on? What's going on?" Well, Roxy'd seen this thing, so she knew what was going on as far as the thing was on its way. And so she called, or Dad called, I'm not sure who, one of their friends that had license to carry. He came out on his motorcycle. He had like a one of those big things. He came out, and I heard him talking down there, and I said, and Roxy cried and screamed or something, and because it was right at the back double door, the what do you call it, the double door, glass door, and she didn't know what to do, and he says, shoot it, don't worry about the glass," Dad said. And he goes, "Don, just a minute, wait a minute, I'm gonna get this thing." And so you could hear the guy saying, he's as soon as he shot, he opened the door a little bit and shot out, and then it was a handgun. And I said, "Shoot ahead of it. Shoot ahead of it." Meaning, you're not catching this thing. Once it starts running, that bullet better be going as fast as it is. Because if you shoot where you think it is, it's long gone. You know what I mean? Because it runs like the wind, And so he heard me, and I guess he
Be like
thinks
duck
he
hunting.
got him. Yeah, he thinks he got him or nipped him, but he's not sure. And but anyway, so we didn't have any more trouble that evening or that night. But everybody was pretty wore out and tired, and Dad was just beside himself. He just didn't know what to do. He was, matter of fact, he took a shower. He told me to take a shower, which we did. And, we got all, and I didn't even have any clothes. I was borrowing some of her clothes. And, here I am, 30? And, and she's in her 50s, so we're still trying to find clothes to fit me. And, but, it was tough. My whole life's been like this, and it's just been terrible. But I think, now that Dad's gone, I'm worried that, I keep telling Jeff, I said, I won't let it get you or the dog or my kids. My kids are over. That thing's, it's taken me. I mean, so, but I said, just whatever you tell the cops, they're not going to believe you. You know, whatever you say to them is not going to be, you know, really believed. I mean, because you hear that all the time, you know. Oh, a Bigfoot got her. Oh, yeah, right. Sure. Yeah. I mean, I could be found either in its stomach or on the ground, if you know what I mean, scattered all over. I don't know. And I pray that that doesn't happen because I'm too tired to
Right.
go through anymore. But yeah, I've had some really bad experiences with this thing. Bad.
Yeah,
So
without a doubt.
It sure sounds like it.
yeah, I wonder how old it is now. And I wonder if it dies dead. I mean, I pray for the thing to die every daggone day. Uh, and the Lord knows I can't take anymore. And the Lord said in His Word, He won't put us through any more than we can handle. Well, I've handled enough. I'm done. You know, enough is enough. You know, so I better know no more. You know, but I just don't
I
know how
believe that
long this.
they're.
Uh huh.
I believe they're flesh and blood. They do have a lifespan. I would
Oh
almost
yeah.
bet that this one, whenever you had your first engagement with it was probably a juvenile, and it imprinted on you. And as you grew, it grew, and it had that attachment, and it has just followed you from like a childhood crush, kind of. And it just once they imprint or tag you or whatever you want to call it, they don't give up. And I
Right.
don't believe that they're there to be your friend. I believe they have ill intentions and they will hurt you if they get the chance.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah. I know it's not going to be a picnic. Hi, how you doing? Haven't seen you for a while. Type of thing. You know, I that's not going to happen. I know that. I do know that it had to be older than me though, because it looked like a full-grown man. You know, it acted more so. You know what I mean? Than a child, juvenile. I don't hear you, Mike. I'm not hearing you, Mike.
No sound, Mike.
I don't know
Mm.
tonight. It keeps muting me. I don't know why it's doing that. Uh, so you said it has red hair, right?
Yeah. I don't know whether this is the same one that they call the Ohio grassman. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it could have a little brown in it, but it was mainly red. I
And
could
he
see
had
the.
you said like a lock of hair that was hanging down,
Um. Well, you mean lot on its head?
like a lock.
Sorry, I had a tickle.
Oh, you're okay. I do that a lot.
I'm. I talk
I
too
have
much.
I have the doctor here with me in case it happens.
Well, there you go. I just got tea and it's not helping. Um. Okay. As far as lots of hair, I had enough hair. Uh, I could see
Right.
through some of its hair because I could see the blackheads. You know where the dirt was in its skin. Of course, that was when I was standing there in front of her for so long. It's got it's got an odd, but yet manly, but yet animal looking face. But yet it's not an animal. It's not an animal. It looks like probably a fallen angel, just like it's talked about in God's word. They were very handsome back
Right.
then. You know.
Well, we sure
So,
appreciate you sharing.
yeah. Thank you for having me on. I hope and pray that if anyone out there happens to be alive still, that remembers Teresa at the highway with Bigfoot. Uh, I don't think there's really any way to explain it any better than that. Uh, that you might, you know, put a note into to Mike and let him know that you're there and I'd be happy to talk with you, to see how your life went and just to let you know that I'm okay. I'm so far still okay.
And
Even though
Tartan,
it's
I
hard.
believe what you're saying is true. And thank you, ma'am, for saying that. I remember tonight that you are a female.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it liked me, I think, too much.
All
So
right. Well, Teresa,
thank you very much, Mike, for
we're going
having
to
me
let
on.
you go and
Yeah.
get you some rest.
Yeah, I'm a little tired tonight. Matter of fact,
Thank you.
after I talked to you guys the other night about some of it, or you, Mike, uh, it came back haunting me through the whole night of what happened. I was more scared that evening than normal, but I'm very attuned to my sounds around the house. I mean, I get scared, still to this day, so I have to listen around. Of course, luckily the dog helps a little bit, but she's no, you know, nothing really to speak about as far as
Right.
helpful. But anyway, thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. And if you have any questions ever, just give me a call.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
We sure
Teresa.
will. Thank you.
Yeah, be careful if you're out there hunting them because they don't
We,
like you in their territories.
I will.
They,
I will for sure.
yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. Thank
Should I
you.
just hang up? All right.
Yes.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Teresa.
Thoughts on that one, Kirk?
I really feel sorry for the lady. I believe everything she said is as best she remembers it. Uh,
Right.
you know, I'm sure there's things that she missed that she's actually trying to block out because it was so traumatic for her. And all I can say is I pray for that lady.
She had it tough, didn't she? I really felt sorry for her.
Yeah, very
And
much so.
Belinda, thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for being here, Belinda.
We're going to break this story down a little bit, I think, Kirk. There's some things that I heard her say that I wanted to talk about that I thought was kind of important that
Right.
even brought some questions that I had. I think it goes to show. Oh, and I want to tell everybody the sound that y'all was hearing was just because she probably had two devices going that had us on it, and you was hearing the other device reverberate the sounds off of her walls and then back into her speakers.
Feedback, yeah.
Yeah, I apologize for that. The attachment that these creatures have on individuals is just so strong.
They don't let go.
No. It's I mean, I knew they were strong, but the more and more that we look at it, they just they're relentless. She's 65 years old now.
Right.
It's still doing the same thing to her now that it did at 11.
True. And Mike, your assessment with it was probably a juvenile at the same time that, it grew up as she was growing up. She saw it as a full grown, or shall we say adult, simply because they do get so big so fast.
You're talking about a massive creature that
Yep.
Kind of like a baby elephant. They're huge to us.
Sure.
But to them, they're like us, nothing.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I remember being a kid when I would go to the zoo, even the baby, like lions and stuff like that. They were huge to me, because
Yep.
of the size difference. Uh, Another thing I found really interesting, and she couldn't really hear me. I felt sorry for her. She described this creature, and me and Kurt spoke about this the other night, and we thought this was really, really interesting. This creature not only had red hair, but it had a lock of hair, and she thought I was saying a lock, but it had a lock of hair that was hanging down, that was braided, and I thought that was really interesting. I think that was one of the first things I told Kurt. It really caught my attention.
Yeah. Throughout all my research, the vast majority of these that I've ran into are either brown, blackish brown, or black. Only once I've ran into what you would call a true red-haired one. The red-haired ones are probably the most dangerous. They're the ones most known to be cannibalistic. They will eat a human in a heartbeat. And they are intelligent, probably more intelligent than the other color ones.
And, there was parts of her story that we couldn't get to tonight that I do want to get out to the people. Because I feel like, I want her story to be told. Donna, thank you so much for that super
Thank you, Donna.
Me and Kurt spoke about this a few nights ago and spoke about it in depth. She had talked about this creature had told her some of these creatures have different abilities. She said some are like better at hunter-gatherers. Some are better at building. Some are better at taking care of the smaller ones. Some are guards. Some are day watchers. But she said it told her there was a very few, and not very many of them do this, but she said very few of them are what they call the light makers, okay? Now, they're not actually making light. That's the point that she was getting across. They have small orbs that follow them. And this one that she encountered at her window did have small lights, she said, were about the size of bubbles. Well, me and Kirk was talking about how we have said many times that we believe that the 25% of people that have a cryptid encounter will have a paranormal encounter because the possible link between the Nephilim bloodline,
the connection,
and the disembodied demons. And I was interested so much that she said that it almost gave our theory more traction because, the Bigfoot said not all of us have these. Don't touch them is what it said, referring to the lights as somebody.
Right.
So that pretty much says that there is attachments that follow 25% of these, which we had theorized that anyways.
Yeah, we really had no way to prove it, but no, this doesn't prove it. It just kind of nudges us a little closer to it.
And, it was just the, I did a video and I didn't give the location to it. It was down by the circle I had found. You saw where I seen that light in the woods that night. I had came across an orb that night. And if you'll notice, the orb that night shows up right after the cryptid encounter.
Yeah, imagine that.
And they both leave at the same time. So I think it goes to show that, and this is just my opinion, you cannot just sit behind a desk and read reports and call yourself an investigator. Boots on the ground.
That is correct.
Is important because the stories that we're hearing and that we're going out into the field and we're having happen to us ourselves, we're able to relate to that and not have to distrust somebody's word or somebody's judgment on it. And I believe hands-on is the only way to know.
That it is. It's the only way.
I believe that if you're just behind a desk and you're just telling stories and you're not out in the field, and that's all you are as a storyteller. And my channel is based on investigations. And I want to find the truth, and the only way I want to find the truth is if we find the truth. Like what you said the other day, you believe everybody 95%, but the last 5% I need to experience myself to be able to say that it exists.
That's right. And point blank, if you're not out there doing it yourself, you've got to rely on what somebody else tells you. No way to know if it's the truth or not. You hope they're telling you the truth, but you never know.
And there's a lot of fame seekers out there, a lot. And,
Yeah.
you know, with the new AI coming out right now,
Oh,
there's a lot of hoaxers out there.
That's going to make it even worse.
It's going to get terrible. It's going to be to where video is not even going to be credible anymore.
Right.
It's sad. Somebody said here since childhood, Mike. We might have somebody else having the same thing happen. If you guys have any stories or you would like to share any stories on our channel, guys, I've talked to Kurt. Friday night, I'm thinking about Friday nights is going to be our witness time. If we have any witnesses that would like to come out on Friday nights, hey, get a hold of me. abnormalinvestigation77@gmail.com. We'll do a pre-hearing phone call. And if it's everything we're looking for and everything, then we will get you on a Friday night.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I love hearing from the viewers. It's awesome. Was there anything else she told that caught your eye a lot?
Yeah. When she said her dad bit it and kept spitting out, I just can't imagine how bad that must have tasted. I mean, that had to be absolutely disgusting.
If they taste the way they smell.
That's what I'm basing it off of. Oh my God. It just.
He probably needed that beer.
I give the man a lot of credit that he did that. Personally, I would have done whatever it took also, but I'm sure looking back at it, he just had to wish that he'd have thought of a different way to do it.
Right. Yeah, that was like what Nick just said. It's like picking up and biting a skunk,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be about the truth.
If any one of y'all have any questions that you would like to end the night with, me and Kurt would be glad to take any questions.
Sure.
We'll do our best to answer, and if we don't have an answer, we'll try to find an answer for you.
Exactly.
You can tell when people have these experiences. You can see the trauma that it leaves, and she still to this day, 65,
Yeah, she's suffering yet,
and I won't leave her alone. And that's where I wish I had the ability to be able to go on the road. That's why I want to get that van done, is I can go to people's houses like this that are suffering and meet you there or whatever, and maybe we can remedy some of this, get rid of it, or at least find out what's going on,
I would love to be able to help the lady out in that aspect.
We got a question here. What's the difference between red hair, brown, black, white hair species of it?
Mike or King, I really do not know why. It just seems like the red-haired ones have an attitude, would be the best way to put it. And actually, the red-haired ones are more predominantly toward the West Coast, but you do occasionally find them around the East Coast and also in the southern part of the states. I don't know exactly why. They do seem to have a little different teeth structure from the one I witnessed as opposed to the other ones that I've seen. It's almost as if they're a subspecies of the Bigfoot, that it's not just the hair coloration, but there are subtle differences. And quite frankly, that's the one that worries me the most.
I agree. I couldn't add anything to that. I don't know. I think that's something. I don't think anybody. I think Kirk nailed it. I think that's as close as we can get to it right now.
Yeah.
Do you think about the talking through the window without moving its mouth until she? Okay, I know where you're going with that because y'all say I don't believe in telepathic talk. I do believe in it, and I've told Kirk that before. I think it was a misunderstanding as to what I believe. I believe that there is that demon aspect of it. And I believe that if a Christian doesn't allow it, they can't do it. That's why I've never experienced it, because I don't allow that. But the moment when she was at the window, you notice she said, "What are you?" And whenever she opened that door to communication,
Yep.
you open the door to a demon, he's going to come in. And whenever she spoke to it, and you remember what she said, it said to her, "You spoke first." She opened that door. And whenever you open that door, you are opening the door to something you don't even want to mess with.
Boy, isn't that the truth.
I'd like to know why that in decades we're rarely seeing Bigfoots down off the mountains, the woods, and now they've been going around the island. We have folks scared, including me. Fires, maybe. A lot of fires are happening right now. We're developing more.
And I also believe that their population, their numbers are growing.
What was it? Mount St. Everest. They used to live up there quite a bit, and a lot of their caves and stuff were covered up. So that probably,
right.
Out more too. And probably even, they're spraying all these chemicals, and I've heard farmers talking about this. The government is spraying chemicals right now, actually killing our food, our crops.
Sure.
And they're paying farmers right now more money not to plant than they are.
That's right.
They're dumping our eggs in holes, covering them up, saying we're having egg shortages. So if they're taking our food, which I know here in Oklahoma, I don't know about other places, but they allow farmers to plant on government property, the core, but you have to leave 10% of your crop for wildlife. Well, if we're not able to do that anymore and they're going to stop their agreements, that's a whole lot of food been taken out of nature. That's going to cause
that's exactly right
elsewhere. So that could be a thing why they're moving into the cities. They're taking the food away from, they say, animals will populate according to the food and water in their area. So if we were introducing more food by leaving 10% of crops, which they've started doing that a whole lot, and then all of a sudden we pull that back and it's not there anymore, you have a large population that's hungry.
And that's just like at LBL, Land Between the Lakes, when the deer started getting the wasting disease. There started being more encounters down there. Then all of a sudden, wild pigs showed up, and the encounters started getting less again. So you had one food source that got sick. Then the humans become the food source. Then you introduce wild pigs. Now the wild pigs are the food source. So the humans are being left alone again.
And and the wild pigs, Kirk, is almost like the government's gifting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you stop gifting them, and what do they start doing? They start eating the tourists.
Exactly. Well, maybe it'd be okay if the tourists were the government.
Yeah, but see, they're the ones that know what's out there, though, and they tell everybody
else. Yeah, that's the problem.
There's nothing out there.
Yep.
Wow. Well, guys, I think we've about covered everything on that, much as we could, anyways. And I really enjoyed tonight's show.
I did too.
Next Friday will be a little bit different show. I may not be able to join. I I'm going to have a procedure done on Thursday, so I'm not real sure if I'll be on. If I'm not on, Kirk and Cal will probably run that show. It'll be set up. We will still go live. We can't afford to miss that. But hey, we appreciate all you guys here tonight. And just by the way, guys, we set a record. We went over 300 tonight.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, and on a Friday night.
Thumbs up.
We had large competition tonight. The abnormal family came through. We went over 300. We stayed over 300. Thank you so very much, guys. I always thank my guests. You guys are what makes the show. And I will always be just thoughtful and generous to you guys. You guys are what does it. And our numbers are growing, guys. Our subscribers have grown. Our membership have grown. Thank you guys for joining the membership to the page, supporting the page. Just you guys have done so much for this page, and we know we're going to go a lot further. And if everything keeps growing, Kirk and Cal and I, we've talked about maybe even an event next year, a possible event, and we can get everybody together. And I promise I'm not going to be begging for money or griping about losing money. We're more about we want to get together and just spend time with you guys, share stories, even if we have to do it on the side of a lake in tents and all of us camp together, listen for sounds together, have our campfires, whatever it takes. But
it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. We don't, we want to share time with you guys and, share some stories. But I'm going to let Kirk have the last say, and I'm just going to say, keep your head on a swivel and don't be something's dinner, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everything that you guys do for this channel. Mike said it best. You're our family. I really enjoy seeing everybody, and be safe. We will see you again next time. Good night, all.
Smooth, the shirts are coming soon. We're working on that right now, so there will be stuff coming soon.
Very
Appreciate
good.
It, guys. God bless.
God bless all.